Welcome back to another edition of the MetsXMFanZone podcast, home of your Everything New York Mets. We want to say hello to everybody and welcome to our live streams where we break down all of your latest New York Mets news, live streams, and much, much more. But we got some great things that we're going to be talking about here in our live streams. We got the first game here at Port St. Lucie where the New York Mets are going to be playing against the Miami Marlins in a exhibition spring training matchup. Today, the Mets having this first game, it's going to be a lot to ground to cover. We got a lot of game, and you guys going to see a lot of players in this matchup. We're going to go on. We're going to talk about the lineup in this stream. We're going to talk a little bit on some players. We'll take a lot of your Q&As. And if you guys got questions, make sure that you guys put them in the comment section down below. But also, today's matchup and everything that we discuss will be on our website by going to MetsXMFanZone.com. Everything here up will be on the top of your screen. And also in our show notes if you would like to catch today's live action of the Mets versus the Marlins. It is live at 1:10 and will be on our website and also on the SNY network. So we're going to get right into today's topics. We're going to touch up on the lineup card. So we're going to do that in just a few moments. And I've been reading some of your comments too from a lot of our members here in on all of our social media platforms. We're gonna get to all of them, so we will be touching up on that in just a few moments. But we are gonna take we're also going to take some of your updates too. So we're gonna do all of that. We're gonna put your today. We're not gonna put the lineup card. We're not gonna put our graphics up on the screen. We're gonna start to do that for the regular season. I know a lot of you guys love the graphics that we did last year. But we're not gonna go into the do our bed-ins like we always do. We're going to do that analysis for the regular season. So, just to keep you guys in the loop of those, I know everybody loved our graphics that we always did last year. So, we're going to have those graphics up for the regular season, not for spring training. But I'll give you guys a little bit of my analysis and go deep dive pretty much into today's game and all the matchups. Now, if you miss something though, and if anything that I talked about in this stream is on our website. So you can go to MetsXMFanZone.com. I break down a deep dive of every player that we discuss here in the live streams. I will have your questions being posted up on our screen starting tomorrow, because I know we get a lot of people that want to catch all of that, so we'll have it up on the screen too as well. And also for when the regular season starts, we'll have also some of the other graphics for you guys in regards to that. Fan perspective. Now, kind of go a little bit deep on that for just a second. Now, predictions. Now, I just want to kind of like give you guys a little bit of how things work on here. So the predictions, the betting side of things. Now, we do get a lot of bettors. I just want to throw that out. I know we get a lot of people that like to come on to my show and, kind of want to get, betting odds, betting predictions, and player analysis. Those are on there. So it's on the website, and it'll also be up on your screen for the regular season, where I break down the line progression, the home runs, RBIs, steals, all of those. I break it down, and I break it down also on the site. So everything, all the graphics that you would see would be coming from our site. From the analysis standpoint, from not only that, but from all the player parlays, which again is a 4 leg parlay. I don't recommend doing 6 legs or a 7 leg parlay. If you're gonna if you're going to bet responsibly, and again, just so everybody notes, this is for educational purposes only. But if you are like betting on FanDuel, Fanatics, and BetMGM, or even whatever apps that you guys use, normally we're associated with these three particular companies that we do a lot of our numbers with, and how much the parlays work, and how much what you're putting into those parlays kind of gives you a little bit of a deep dive on that. So we'll have those graphics up, and again, we break it down piece by piece, so that way you kind of have a little bit of an understanding on how these numbers work. Like if it's a 53%, if it's an 86 percentile, and kind of go with my confidence on players throughout each lineup card. So with the lineups, with the players, with the pitchers, also as well. I mean, I'll touch a little bit on it today here in our stream. So like I'll break a little bit of I'll break a little bit down for you, and you guys will get a little bit of a feel of what the regular season will look like. But if you are new to the channel. But if you are, a frequent user, I do get a lot of people that pop on here that are frequent bettors. Just so you guys know, I won't be doing it for spring training, and I mean, it's not necessary, because there are so many players that pop in. Okay, so let's go with the lineup card. So we'll go with the lineup card, and let's break that down for everybody. So let's break down the week that we have for you guys. So the probable pitchers, obviously, is going to be Wendell for today. We'll touch a little bit on him in just a second. I think Wendell's going to be pretty good for the Mets. He is in our minor league farm system. Uh, we're gonna see a lot of his repertoire in today's game. Kind of going a little bit with the slider. You're gonna see at times where he's gonna be throwing, sliders outside the strike zone. And just so everybody knows, the ABS rule is now in effect. So they are working on this automatic strike zone, which will be for the automatic umpiring. You're gonna see it. We saw it yesterday. I don't know if we had some of that footage up, but yesterday we had the automatic umpiring. They're working with players. They were even working with Miami players, because Miami players were down here, kind of working with this new ABS rule, which, the minor league guys have learned that, but not so much of the major league guys have really, worked into that system yet. So a lot of guys like Polanco were working on it. Bobichet was kind of working on it. So it's a new implemented rule. So it's like having something being put in so quickly involved with the season. So minor leagues have been having it for quite a couple seasons, like almost 2 seasons already. So now it's being implemented into our game for the 2026 season. So you're going to see that they'll probably have that game. Now, obviously, kind of want to touch up a little bit on another story that the Mets no longer have Brandon Nimmo. They no longer have Jeff McNeil and Pete Alonso. So if you are kind of touching up on Pete Alonso and kind of want to see the progression on him yesterday against the New York Yankees, he hit 2 home runs in yesterday's ball game. I know a lot of people are still a little bit, angry about the move. I know a lot of people don't like that move. A lot of people found that he was a little bit more of a fan favorite, but now we kind of moved on to a new era. So I mean, unfortunately, the Mets released him. He didn't re-sign with the New York Mets. He wanted to go elsewhere. Now he's with Baltimore Orioles, and kind of like having a new change of scenery. But kind of what are we getting out of the new acquisitions with the New York Mets, and that's getting Bo Bichette, Marcus Simeon, not only that, but Jorge Polanco, Luis Roberts Jr., and you guys going to see a lot of these guys being ineffective for today's game. Now, you won't see Bo Bichette in this game, but you will definitely be seeing Marcus Simeon in this game. So we're going to touch up on the lineup. Actually, I'm sorry. You are going to see Bo Bichette in this game. My apologies. I meant to say Luis Roberts Jr. So you're not going to see Luis Roberts Jr. Probably maybe later on in the game, if anything. Maybe he might pop in. But there is a split squad today, too. So just so everybody knows, there's another, game being implemented later on today. So after game 1, there is going to be another game later on. So if you guys are coming in and guys, chiming on here down in Clover Fields, you can definitely see 2 games being played for today. We're going to be chatting with a lot of players down here and kind of getting a little bit of some interviewing. But I mean, it's going to be very interesting on what this team is going to be capable of doing. Carlos Mendoza will be addressing us media in about an hour from now. So around 12:30, he's going to come out. He's going to talk with us, and he's going to have his full analysis of a pregame show. And he will be talking to the media after on game 1. So he's going to be talking with us, and we're going to hear some really good news coming from out of our manager. So I definitely think it's going to be positive, and I think this is going to be a very good positive for game 1 for the New York Mets, because now that spring training is now finally underway, I think we're going to see a lot of, decent moves today. Not everybody's going to be, working, doing their official workout day, but obviously we'll be able to see some of our newest, latest players being implemented in today's matchup. Hey, what's up, Mountain Man? Nice to see you. And just so everybody knows, when we do our early morning matchups, me and Mountain Man, we're going to be doing a lot of the morning show calls. So we're going to be doing like the games, like the game after. Me and him, we're gonna be doing it throughout the regular season. We're gonna be talking and giving you guys some of your latest news. Also, he has a channel too, so what do you call it? He'll also at times do his preparation. So if you guys would like to go and check out his channel, it is on TikTok. But so we'll definitely, if you guys would like to check his channel out and kind of get his reaction of the games, you guys could do that too. And I will be giving you guys my reaction after game 1. We'll be breaking down some of the players. If you guys would like to see my reaction after today's game, we're going to be going live at 6:30, where I will break down the for game 1 spring training. That's okay. All right, got that. I kind of figured Mountain Man will do a lot of the shows. He's a good guy. I think a lot of you guys would love hearing his reactions too. And just so everybody knows, we are live on all social media platforms. We're live on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I mean, if you guys are members, please check it. Check out our website at MetsXMFanZone.com, because if you are looking for an alternative to all the apps, MetsXMFanZone.com is the ultimate destination where the fans go. It gives you a fan perspective. It gives you not only that, but from a baseball writer's point of view too, because I've been a writer for 16 years. If nobody knows who I am, and if you're new to our channel, I've been writing for Mets and for MLB for 16 years. And I mean, it's been hell of a ride. So now we're finally in the front camera as we give you your Mets throughout the 2026. So, enough with that being said, let's get right into our lineup card. So, let's pull it up here for everybody to check out. All right, so who is in our lineup card for today? Now, again, we did touch up on our pitcher for today's day. See if I could just get this up real quick. My apologies to everybody. Just trying to get this lineup card up. Of course, it acts really weird on me. The Wi-Fi is terrible here at the stadium, if you guys are here. All right, so we got Brandon Wendell on the mound for the New York Mets. Now, what are we going to touch up on today? What are we going to see out of Brandon Wendell? Obviously, he is a right-handed, left-handed pitcher for our minor league system. What are we going to see out of him? What is the outcome for 2026 out of Brandon Wendell? It's going to be a lot of fastballs, a lot of off-speed pitches, a lot of sliders. The one key aspect on what I look at Brandon Wendell is giving him the opportunity of a lifetime. You kind of want to see on where he is on the rubber, kind of going with his numbers, because his numbers have been speaking pretty volumes in the last couple of seasons. He has a lot to prove here. We need a lot of guys that are going to be that alternative. Just God forbid something actually happens, we need alternatives to come up here in the majors. So the Mets are going to be showcasing a lot of pitchers in this one. It's going to be up to 5 pitchers in today's game. There are more than likely, we're hearing that Clay Holmes could be available. We are hearing that David Peterson could also be available. So there are quite a couple of our main starters that could be available for this game. So that being said, Brandon Wendell will be the starter. He will be going 2.5 innings. From what, as we know, his pitch count will go to 26 pitches. They don't want to go above 26 pitches on our pitchers in each inning. So we're going to more than likely see 2.5 innings out of Brandon Wendell. Again, pitches to really look out for in this game. Kind of going from the left side of play, you'll more than likely see some sliders and even some changeups. But also the one thing that has been very effective on Brandon Wendell is the fastball. So being a little bit more effective on right-handed pitchers, he has some good execution, good velocity on that fastball. But the one thing that he needs to really tend to work on is kind of working on a little bit on the corners, because when he does throw the fastball, he tends to get some balls and it kind of goes a little bit outside of the strike zone, which throughout the regular season, so if you guys are hearing on what I'm saying, we're going to be showing a box here up on our graphics. I'll touch up a little bit on the graphics, a little bit more in depth on pitchers, because I could tell you, because I was a pitcher, so I could give you a little bit of a feel on what a pitcher could go through in regards to the windups, in regards to coming off on the mound and kind of breaking down a little bit on that in a really good perspective, because not only are you really looking for good pitchers, but it kind of breaks down a little bit of the analysis of the two, because you have lefties and righties, and then you kind of go with a really good matchup from a lefty pitcher to a righty batter, and then going from a righty batter to a lefty hitter. So you kind of want to see a little bit of that different perspective when it comes to pitchers, and it really breaks down on what they could do and the ability that they could do on the mound. So kind of looking at on how I see Brandon Rendell is has to be effective on the fastball, like I said before, but also needs to be a little bit more effective on the corner of the plates. Now, going by on the progression of last year, he had an ERA of 3.18 ERA. Pretty decent. So I mean, he's a very decent pitcher. Strikeouts, he had well over 60 strikeouts last year, and kind of going with a little bit on the whipping average, which is at 1,000%, which was pretty decently. Could be down a little bit more on the numbers, but I mean, more than average of a pitcher in this caliber. Could he? He's more than likely not going to get the W, of course. You'll see different pitchers being put on the mound for today. And Carlos Mendoza really exercised and said early this morning that we're going to see a lot of effectiveness coming from some pitchers in this one. And we're not going to, early on have all of our starters out there. But we might see one or two in game one. All right, so now let's move on to some of our hitters. Now, obviously, if you guys know that the New York Mets ended up picking up in the offseason Marcus Semien. Now, this is the alternative to Jeff McNeil. So, kind of what are we seeing on Marcus Semien on today's matchup? Now, I'm not really going to be looking so much into a lot of the footwork on these guys. And I think that, with bringing in Marcus Semien as a new acquisition for the New York Mets, the Mets kind of wanted a little bit of that leadership role, which we all know that Steve Cohen addressed early on here in spring, that the Mets are not looking for a leader. The Mets are not trying to, pinpoint a player to be a leader on this club, which he addressed early on. And, having all these new signs, he wants to be very effective and, kind of having some really good acquisitions here on the New York Mets to be very effective in the 2026 season. And, having this caliber of a player like Marcus Semien, we all know the numbers that he's putting up throughout recent years. 26 home runs. He's been very effective against right-handed batters, which he ranks number 4 in the league against right-handed batters. Against left-handed batters, he ranks number 8 in left-handed batters. So, I mean, if you really want to talk in a really good hitter, clutch-wise, power-wise, he's a very reliable on this team as of now. But, which you didn't see that out of Jeff McNeil. And I think that's why the Mets kind of let Jeff McNeil go, because he was not so much effective against left-handed batters. Struck out a lot against left-handed batters. I mean, at times he was very streaky. So he would have a big span of a hitting, and then all of a sudden he gets ghosted. Same thing like a Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso got ghosted a lot of the times. But now you need to be able to be effective. And we know a guy like Marcus Semien could be effective, especially late in games. Jeff McNeil was very ghosted throughout the regular season in 26. So having a upgrade in Jeff McNeil in regards to fielding ability and hitting ability. I'm definitely ranking this one at least an 86% to a 90% because this I feel was such an effective move coming from a fielding ability and coming from a leadership caliber player to a very good hitter. And the Mets lacked a lot last year in clutch hitting. So now, this year, I think it's going to be very, very different in regards to having a clutch hitter and being effective on the mound. I mean, being effective at home plate. So, how are we going to look at this matchup today with Marcus Semien? Now, Marcus Semien will be limited to hitting in this one, so the Mets are looking to put him in at least at 2 innings plus. They want to see on how he could be able to handle out the fielding and also hand out on how his swinging ability is looking. Now, before the start of game one going in yesterday, Marcus Semien was 2 for 4, getting a double and scoring on the third inning. Looked really effective yesterday. I liked what I saw out of Marcus yesterday, but now it was, playing against an inner squad, so you're kind of playing, orange and blue. But I mean, I kind of want to see on what he's going to do against other opponents. So even though it really wasn't as effective, today it's going to be effective in game one. A lot of guys going to be very rusty, but yesterday he looked like he was ready in true form going into that full season windup. So I do feel that Marcus Semien is going to be really effective. Now, going on his numbers for today, he could probably reduplicate those numbers if they keep him in much longer. So I think Marcus Semien could definitely well go for 2 for 2 if they keep him in within 2 or 3 innings. And I would probably go with the double, maybe a single somewhere in there. But again, I'm not looking for these guys to do a lot. I just want these guys to get their swinging ability back in order, kind of see a little bit on where they are in the box. In the box, and if he's having, whatever footwork he's looking to change up a little bit, or if his swing a little bit. That's what I'm really looking forward in this matchup. So, kind of go on Marcus Semien. If you're looking to see hits, again, I'm not looking for anything right now in game one. I kind of really would look forward to seeing it maybe in game 4 or game 5 to say, okay, let's see on what these guys are going to be able to do in spring. What can they change? What can they fix? And I think Marcus Semien is that caliber of a player that is very clutchy, very unstreaky at times, but could very well be effective late in games. So again, I'm going to grade Marcus Semien today at a C. Not going to expect anything more or anything less. So let's go with, now he's leading off for today's game. So again, maybe a ground rule double, maybe a ground stealing, always effective. So I always love seeing where Marcus Semien, that he is very good around the base pair. So I am actually going to see Marcus Semien maybe steal a little bit. So if he gets on, and I actually like Marcus Semien in that role because it will maybe take off the pressure on Francisco Lindor, because you need somebody that could, fit right there in the top of the order, because you got Marcus Semien, and then you could more than likely put Francisco Lindor underneath. And then if you really want to, you could go with Juan Soto or maybe Bo Bichette there. I kind of like to have Marcus Semien on top. So I think that would be either effective in many aspects. Or if the Mets are going to be going with Brett Beatty to be put up top, that could be also a good alternative. But again, I'm not really expecting to see a lot in game one. So now, Let's go with number 2, which you guys can see up here on your screen. Juan Soto. How are we looking at it in this matchup? Could he go for power? How is he going to be feeling up on the box right now? How I look at Juan Soto is a caliber of a player, ranked number 2 in now, ranked. Oh well, I would rank him actually at ranked 3 in the league because you got Schwarber, and then I kind of want to put him there. So he's in that top category. Probably one of the best Met players last year. 43 home runs, 108 RBIs, batting average at 323. I mean, was very effective with the Mets last year. And that's only in year 1. You know, we're right now in year 2 in his contract of a, $765 million that he's getting. So, you know what you're getting out of Juan Soto. It's not like it's not unexpected to see on what Juan Soto could do. So, I really am excited to see what he could do this year. Maybe we could reduplicate the same numbers that he did in year 1. So, I'm looking at home runs. He's more than likely going for power. He's going to show off a little bit today. Love the ability that he puts out in the box. Resiliency, able to see the control and the command on that fastball. And we all know how effective he is with the fastball. You know he can hit, score runs, and have that ability to score effectively. So he's batting number 2 today, which I think it's fine. I'm not worried about that. I want to have him come down a little bit in the lineup when the season starts, but I think they're just trying to get some work out of him. So could I see something in today's game? Probably not. I'm not looking for it. I mean, home run, if I can see a home run or 2, that's great. We saw it yesterday at Pete Alonso. If you guys did watch the Baltimore Orioles game on MetsXMFanZone.com, then you would see that Pete Alonso hit that home run in yesterday's matchup. But, I mean, got to remember something, too. Pete Alonso is a one-dimensional player. He's a home run hitter. That's it. And a stat filler. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less out of the guy. But sayonara. See ya. Have a great day. So now let's go with number 3 into that lineup card, which you guys can see here is the new acquisition for the New York Mets is Bo Bichette. He was at Kansas City. He was part of that big run last year in the World Series. Big effective coming from against Shohei Ohtani. And we now finally have him as a New York Met. So kind of give you a little bit of a profile. Open him up a little bit if you guys don't know him. Very effective at third base. Probably one of the best in the game. Not by far as a great third baseman. And I think he is a very effective player. I think you're going to see a lot of really good things from this guy. He's a pull hitter. He's a power bat. And all around an elite baseball player. So kind of how are we looking at this one in 2026 is effectiveness. Now, coming from the right side of the plate, what's his numbers on the right side of the plate? We're talking 276. Puts up good numbers. Always very effective from the right side of play. I say probably the best pull hitters in the game. He could definitely give you numbers. He's a showman. He's a craftsman. And he knows on how to pull it off. Always a clutch hitter. Same guy, like I said. The Mets lacked in clutch hitting in recent years. Now we finally had that under our belt. Is clutch hitting at its master class. You want a master class in a hitter? Watch Bo Bichette and Juan Soto are master class hitting 101. So how am I looking at it in this game? What are we going to see? How are we going to look at this overall? I'm looking at it as, hey, go on the mound, go in the box, put up your numbers. If not, I mean, it's not really a big deal. I'm not looking for a show here. I kind of want to see him, just having some good repetition in the box, kind of seeing on where he is in positioning there. Could he definitely, be rusty in this game one? Could very well be. He looked really good in the last few days, kind of coming off on the mound, hitting off with David Peterson the other day, hit that home run against David Peterson the other day. Hitting off of Nolan McLean. I mean, again, like I said, world class A number one player. And you're never going to see him strike out. Hardly ever strikes out. He's good in hitting, just kind of keeping it in play if he's not striking out. So he's not a strikeout machine, but he's very good in contacting ability, kind of, have a really great eye there, control, stability, on what he could do, and then going from the right side of the plate. So I'm really looking at how these matchups are going to look for him in lefties against righties. But again, he's another type of player that is consistent against lefties and righties, not like his numbers, dip against lefties and dips against righties. He's always being consistent there. So again, we're talking about contact hitting and talking about, being clutchy. This is the guy that you're going to see do in 26. Now let's go on to hitting number 4, and which will be playing center field, and that's Tyrone Taylor. Not effective, not at all effective with the bat. We all know this. We all know he's probably going to be strikeouts at times. Very streaky. He's probably going to be down on the lineup a little bit more. I actually kind of like this in a way. And let me explain why. So saying for argument's sake, the Mets got a 3-2 count. Runners, maybe not even a runner on. Saying like you got a guy on first base. This could be a very good way of changing out this strategy. Why not bunting? I would like to see him have that bunt ability, especially on maybe a guy on base or, because at times, if you ever watch the way the games were, strategy-wise, the Mets always had outs with runners on. A lot of that happened last year. This is actually kind of smart with Mendoza made here, because even though he's not really great with his bat, I would like to see kind of like little bunt plays there at third base, moving runners on. Because if a guy's on first base, we move him over. If a guy's at second base, you move him over. That could be smart if Mendoza actually made some moves this way. So bat him 4. I like that. If they even try to put Alvarez there into that fourth spot, which I don't really see Alvarez being put into that fourth spot, but that is actually a move that I really do like. So he will be batting 4th today. He'll be playing center, and we all know on how good he is in the outfield. We're going to need him at times, in the outfield late in games. Just what it is. So we're not going to see Louis Roberts Jr. in game 1, but we are hearing that he could very well somehow play in today's game. All right. Moving on to batting 5th, playing shortstop, will be Ronnie Mauricio. Now, obviously, if you live in under a rock, you would know that Francisco Lindor ended up going for surgery before spring training started. He had some issues with the hand. He will be out to 8 to 6 weeks. So what is this looking like for the Mets prospectively in that short spot? Well, I will say that Ronnie Mauricio is more than likely going to take that spot, right now until Francisco Lindor gets healthier. He will be as of what we know it right now, he will be be the opening day shortstop guy. Francisco Lindor will more than likely be back, but Ronnie Mauricio is just going to be taking a spot here. Um, we all know on how good Mauricio could be. Is he streaky at times? Absolutely. I mean, does he strike out a lot? Absolutely. I kind of want to see two different things in the lefties and the righty matchups. I kind of want to see on how he is with the lefties. Last year, he was terrible with lefties. Couldn't hit off lefties at all. Now, righties, he hits a little bit better. His batting average with righties is at a 246. A little bit higher than he is against lefties at 211, 219. But he needs to lay off on the sliders. He swings at those too much, and especially down in the dirt. I mean, there were times where it was like, you're going like this, like, what are you doing? He has to stop swinging outside of the strike zone at 2-2 counts. Now, he's good with power wise, Chris. When he's a good fastball hitter, and that's the only downfall I feel that we have in him is that he can only hit against fastballs. He cannot hit after anything. He can't hit sliders. He's not good effectively on the corners, and the ability of him, with the curveball, forget it. He can't hit them. And every time when he does hit them, he grounds outs on either ground outs or double plays, and we can't have that. So, with our hitting coach now, Dean is going to probably be working with him a lot on that. Not hit, not swinging so far away outside with the curveball and the slider. But he has to be. He's effective with the fastball. Good. He has power from the right side of the plate, but needs to have that ability to get hits when you need them. And we haven't seen that at all last year out of that. Where we had runners on, striked out. So there are a lot of situations that happened with him. We need to see a little bit more urgency and effectiveness and laying off on those sliders. I don't know on how we're going to see in today's game. Again, I'm not going to be overwhelmed on game one, but I need to see them to be a little bit effective coming from the right side of play, laying off those sliders, and if they throw a fastball towards the corners, then he needs to also lay those off too, because he hits them, he's going to hit them straight to third base, and you don't want that. You want him to be effective and have control on the mound, in the box. Keep saying the mound. He needs to have that control and not try to swing, because that's the same issue that Mark Vientos has. Same exact problem. Has to lay off on those pitches. So now let's move on down. We got batting sixth. We got playing right field is MJ Menendez. Very good pickup for the Mets. I think this guy's going to be very effective. Now, let's open the portfolio on MJ Menendez for a second. Good hitter, clutch hitter, very effective on the left side of the plate. He is batting right field. Okay, well, he's more than likely going to be there. He's probably going to play with Carson Bench. He might be the starter at right field, which is fine. I don't know on how, they're giving the opportunity to Carson Bench. They're definitely saying, hey, we're going to ride with you. We know that you are a very good hitter. Carson Bench is probably a really, I like him. I think he's going to be really good for the Mets. And I know a lot of Met fans like him too. So, I saw him down in the Myers. I know on how good he is effectively. Did we lose Jet Williams in the offseason to have this kid to be the opportunity for the Mets in 26? Absolutely. I think Jet Williams, you liked him, but he was streaky. You didn't know what you were getting out of Jet Williams. You know what you're getting out of Bench. Effectiveness, fielding ability at 76%. Hitting ability against lefties around 75, around 76. You know, you could put up numbers against lefties. His batting average is around 319 against lefties. Righties, a little bit lower, around 279, 250. I think he needs to lay off a little bit on the pitches on the fastball a little bit because he tends to swing at those outside the strike zone that gets him a lot of strikeouts coming from that side of the plate. But also kind of look at a little bit of the exit velocity and kind of look a little bit on the way his conversion rate is there. And the whipping is a little bit on the low, but I'm gonna tend to overlook that because we're now going into a new season. So I think that with Carson Bench, we'll see a lot of effectiveness. He needs to lay off on pitches high in the strike zone. That's gonna be an issue. If he swings at those, going to be a lot of strikeouts because he doesn't get them. He doesn't get them more. He doesn't get them up here. He tends to get them a little bit more down here, like more chest level. And he's a little bit effective here more than he is up here. So we need to see him lay off on those pitches. But he will be playing right field, but really good fielding ability. I think this is going to be a good move for Mets and will be probably your everyday right fielder. All right, so let's go with our catcher for today's game, and we'll be batting seventh is Austin Barnes, another really decent pickup. Nothing to be too effective with. Another guy, same sort of issue. Very high into the strike zone. Strikes a lot up in the strike zone. Last year, he was okay. But again, he's a clutchy hitter, which I like out of a catcher. All of our catchers, if you guys have noticed, with Alvarez, I like Alvarez. I think Alvarez has got a lot of proof this year. You know, he has to show up. You know, he has to lay off on strikeouts. He's gonna hopefully finally get it, and we'll see a lot of him hopefully in spring. You know, working a lot in the batting room. You know, kind of getting a little bit so more BPs. We are here that he's gonna get a batting session in today. Probably see him sometime today in today's game. But he's been getting a lot of workouts. He says he's very healthy, which that's great because you need a healthy Alvarez for the regular season. That's going to be effective. If Alvarez can stay healthy and be effective, I really do feel that catching role will be good. And, you know, I really like Tomas, you know, being, you know, behind him. And I do think that the Mets have really good catchers into this mix. And same thing kind of goes with Austin Barnes. I think Austin Barnes is also a very good behind the plate guy, and he could call a good game. So I'm very interested in seeing on how he's going to call the pitchers in this matchup. So he will be back there. He's a good hitter, but not blow me away type of hitter. All right, so let's go with your eighth hitter, which is Jose Rojas. He'll be playing first base. Another guy that's really effective. He's good at first. Again, you know, he's going to be showcasing on what he could do there at first base. Decent hitter. One thing I like about Rojas is that he's a clutchy hitter. You know, I'm not looking as a guy to be a big power bat, which he can be at times. Very streaky at times also. A guy that kind of lacks in the ability in the right side of the plate. Tends to strike out a lot. But, I mean, if I can see him kind of have a better progression in the way he is at the plate, I mean, he could definitely put up numbers. You know, I think that, you know, the right side of the plate, he could be a little effective, kind of being a pull of a way type of hitter. And looking at the numbers that we've seen with him in last year, he had a batting average on the left side of the plate around 248, around lefty, against lefty hitters. I mean, lefty pitchers. I'm sorry, lefty pitchers. He's pretty effective, but against righties, a little bit better. I feel that he is better from the right side. So his batting average for righties is at 230. A decent guy, but again, good power. And then we have at the ninth hole will be DHing for the Mets would be Chris Sorrow. Uh, don't know so much on him. Didn't really pull up enough data on him, so I'm kind of gonna not give a little bit. I'm not gonna give my perspective on him. Don't know too much, but I think on our next gameplay that we're calling here will be will once I know a little bit more, I'll be able to put some data on for everybody. But he will be batting ninth and will be a DH. All right, so that would be it for our lineup cut. Now, again, like I said, everything that you hear on our streams, be doing these type of things daily throughout the regular season. Kind of give you a little bit on some perspective against lefties and righties. Against lefties, righties, kind of talk a little bit on the progression, kind of talk a little bit on the prospects on the minors guys too. So I'll give you guys a little bit of some outlooks on minor league guys because I very stay updated with our minors. So I'll kind of give you guys a little bit on some focus on them, and then kind of break it down. We'll show you guys a little bit of the how I call like the pitchers and stuff, and very dedicated on pitching. So yeah, I'll break that down as well. So today's game. Do I have a number? I do think that if the Mets are just kind of like putting in some work, I could see the Mets winning 3-2. Pitcher. I don't really have a pitcher for anybody in this one to like have a W or anything. But just put it in your numbers, get in some repetition, get in those hits when you need them. Guys that you know are expecting to get those hits, guys that you know are expect to get those runs. Again, not a lot of big names are being put out in today's game. I mean, we have Soto, Bo Bichette out there. Marcus Semien, you kind of get to see a play on some of the new acquisitions that the Mets have. But hopefully we get to see some effectiveness in this one. So I want to thank you guys for watching here on our show. We're going to now take some of your questions. I'm going to read some of your questions, and then we'll end our show on a side note. Now, if you guys want to get everything that I spoke about today, or if you guys got kind of a little bit on some questions in that, I'll tend to read them. But everything that I talked about is on our website at MetsXMFanZone.com. I've seen a lot of people write a lot of comments. We got all of our platforms. We are live on every platform, just so everybody knows here. So here's a question from Tammy on YouTube, and she wants to know, so how do I see the starting rotation in 26? I think it's going to be a 6-man rotation. And why do I say this? Is if the Mets are really kind of seeing Kodai Senga for the regular season, then giving him enough rest each start would be effective. So if I'm going to go with Freddie Peralta, David Peterson, Clay Holmes, Sean Manaea, I really do think that he could be very effective. I think last year they kind of overworked him. I felt in many, many ways. I think a lot of it, he was in his head a lot. But I do think that Kodai Senga could very well be good. But, He has to get out of his head. He has to, go with the pitches that he knows on how well he could do, being effective. So I definitely feel that Kodai Sega will be really good for that rotation, and keeping him here is having good value out of him. So I definitely say Kodai Sega will be part of that rotation in 26. Do I think that the new batting coaches will help a lot of these guys? Absolutely. I really like the new acquisitions that we have in the staff. Got to remember something too. The old staff was very stale the last couple of seasons. You didn't see hustleness. You didn't see guys steal enough. And then you didn't see our third base coach calling, "Hey, go make that chance, run a little bit." I do think that this season's going to be not like the Mets were, not like the Mets were. So I do think that the Mets really put up good numbers and being effective when you need them to be effective. Um, do I think the Mets are going to be a failure? No, I don't. I feel a little bit more confident this year for them than I felt last year, because a lot of the way the toxicity of the team was. I just think that collectively, there was a lot of resentment. I felt a lot. I felt there was tension at times. But you need to be a baseball team. I think last year they felt like a joke, and with the failures that happened, with the pitching, and we had the most pitching in the league. So we brought up literally 38 pitchers, and then the bullpen was in shambles. Now that we finally have stability in that bullpen with Devin Williams and Luke Weaver. You finally have something in that. So I do feel that that bullpen is now a better pen than it was last year. And yes, I understand, losing Edwin Diaz was a big risk. But hey, you never know what you're going to get out of Devin Williams. Devin Williams is a very effective closer. Yeah, he didn't get to do it with the Yankees, but I mean, he could definitely well pull up some good numbers with the Mets. Sometimes a different atmosphere helps too. Same thing kind of goes with Roberts. I think Roberts, you know, what was what a terrible team, and he wasn't able to show what he could do. So hopefully, maybe that would change a difference in Roberts. So I definitely think that kind of going with a better bullpen, and I think these were effective moves. Sometimes you don't need the big sexy name in order to win. It's like these guys might not be sexy names. The guys that we got. I know a lot of people want to see Tudgman here. Because he is also a sexy player. In a way, because what he could do. No, I mean, the Mets need, maybe we need one more piece in that pen, or maybe that one more piece in the starting rotation. I don't think so. I think the Mets will be fine. You know, we got good pitchers. They just need to work what they're doing, and I think especially with our new pitching coach, I love it. I think he's going to be really good. Just you're not going to see so much of him trying to go out there and pull guys. Know their limits. They need to know their limits, and they need to go much deeper into games, which we lacked in. We lacked in that last year. 4 or 5 innings is not good. You can't have a pitcher go 4 or 5 innings. You need him to go a little bit deeper into the game. So yeah, I mean, going by how many pitchers we had, it was completely ridiculous last year. I think now what the Mets need to do is get that ability and strive for that ability. We need to get We need to get our pitchers deeper into games. That is just what it is. What what is my prediction for the Mets? How many wins? How many wins do I think the Mets would have too? I mean, I definitely say 94, 95. A lot of people say a little bit less than that. I think the Mets. Listen, season didn't even start yet. Like I'm not gonna go and have a prediction now where I haven't seen much of anything. We haven't really seen much of anything yet. I'm not. I'm gonna make my determination of that number 2 weeks into the season. Once once we have a really good understanding of where everybody is, who's playing, now that's when I'll make my determination. Do I think the Mets will go 94 wins? Absolutely. But I think this is a better hitting team than it was last year. We had a lot of holes last year. Didn't know where guys were going to be at third base. Didn't know where guys were going to be at second. I mean, the outfields, day by day, you didn't know who was going to be your everyday left fielder. You didn't know who was going to get injured. It was like one after another. I think, this year, now that we have a little bit more stability, a little bit more player depth, I think that this year will probably be effective more than last year. So I definitely think that the effectiveness and the awareness of last year would be gravitating into this year. So I really do feel that the Mets have really good value players, and being a better team on paper, matters too. But also, I want to see it every day out in the field. Uh, so yeah, 94. So I would definitely go with I would definitely go with 94 wins for Mets. But again, I'll determine that in 2 weeks of the regular season. Am I down here in spring? Yeah, I'm down here. I'm here. I'm gonna be here for the full week of game one. I'll probably be back in New York, but I will be giving everybody my analysis of all the games. Even if I'm not here, I'll still be coming on lives and doing all the shows. So we'll be doing pre games and then after games. Kind of breaking down the cards and stuff like that, and there will and if you miss something, it'll be on the website because I make sure that we put enough data so everybody could get whatever with the lineup cards, just so everybody knows it's a 4 leg parlays. So when you go onto the website, see if I could just pull it down here. I know you guys are not going to be able to see what I'm doing. So when you go down to Anthony's predictions, which is mine, I have a 4 leg parlay. These are parlays that I always will be talking about through every live. I'll have it up on the screens too, with all of our graphics where I break down home runs, RBIs, hits, stolen bases, and then the numbers on those parlays, and giving you guys my confidence grading too as well on them, will be for each live. So you guys will see all my graphics for each live in every Met game, and will be in those lineups. When also too, I do season outlooks. So on the Mets fan outlook section will be players that I'll always will update daily. I'll update them and giving you guys my analysis of those players will be posted up monthly. So those won't be daily, but those will be monthly on players that I'm grading so far for that month. Like if it's an A or a B, uh, um, and you'll see, and I'll break that all down. And then I think a lot of you guys will like a lot of that, especially for people that like to bet on these bet apps and stuff like that. I really don't. I don't like to promote it, but I know a lot of people that watch my shows. Kind of, we're kind of like a little bit different in regards to a lot of Met podcasters out there. But they kind of get a little bit more in depth with players and stuff like that. I kind of get a little bit more analytical. Like me and Sarah, me and Sarah, we're like very analytical when it comes to players. So, I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of a breakdown on players throughout the day, the day matchups and stuff like that, and really who to look out for. So, I think you guys will really enjoy a lot of that content, especially for people that like to bet. But I always say it is for educational purposes on a lot of the for our lives. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching here in our show. It's been great. Really enjoyed chatting with a lot of you guys. We will be back here live later on today. We will be back live at 6:30, where we break down for Game 1 of your spring training matchup. I want to thank you guys for watching. Be safe, be well, and